Good evening, everybody. Hey, it's time once again for the Confident Autistic live stream. Yes, it's the 6th of March, 2025, and I am back and we are live. And my picture will be coming up on the screen any moment here. I do promise you that. I hit the button and I realize we're in a delay. I keep forgetting we're in a delay, but we are in a delay. So I'm hoping March is going great for you. It has been a very interesting month for us here at my house. There is so much going on. It would take the entire hour, the entire live stream for me to tell you everything that's happening. So we're not going to get into it, but it's been a busy month for us. Hopefully, it's been a nice and calm month for you. As I said, this is the Confident Autistic. This week's special topic, I forgot to update this. Yeah. When will I have time to? It's been busy here. But we're going to be talking about the two videos I posted this week, two of the three videos I posted this week, including 15. I don't have the title in front of me. I'm nowhere near as prepared as I like to be. I just woke up. It's a brand new peacefully day to me. Yeah, I just woke up. We're going to be talking about the videos. One is about what people do not tell you about late diagnosis of autism. That's one of the two we're going to be talking about. And what nobody talks about in what nobody talks tells you about late diagnosis of autism and 15 signs that you may be on the spectrum. And that was a fun video to do. I did that video. It's fun because I did it as a salute to Jeff Foxworthy, one of my favorite comedians, and how he does. You might be a redneck if, so I did. You might be an autistic adult if. So it was a fun little video. So I hope you had a chance to check it out and enjoy that. We can talk about those things tonight, and it's going to be a good evening. As we wait for questions or conversations to start on these topics, let me do a few things here behind the scenes so I know where I am so I don't get lost. Because it's really hard to get lost on a computer, but it can be done. Trust me. You can spend a bunch of time in YouTube and just lose track of time. All right, before we get into those 15 signs, which I'm going to try to pull up that file here for me to kind of review those because my brain only has so much capacity and it's probably overloaded right now. Anyway, it's a brand new month. March is here. We made it through February. March is here. Warmer weather's coming. Where is everyone from and what is your weather like? I'm in Missouri. For those that do not know, if you're first time here, and if you're first time here, let me know. We'll welcome you. We'll welcome you for tuning in. But I'm here in Southwest Missouri, and it is mm, one day is really nice and warm, and the next day is kind of chilly. We had 70s earlier this week. Then we had upper 30s to 40s to 50, almost 60 today. And tomorrow's supposed to get back to 70. I'm itching to barbecue. I don't know about you. I love barbecuing and I'm itching to do that. But the problem is we have these high winds. We have fire warnings right now because the winds are so high, a fire can easily get out of control. And I don't think I've ever mentioned it in this channel before. And if I did, maybe once, and probably the odds of you seeing that one video out of almost 300 are pretty slim. But I have the theory about barbecuing. There's no such thing as too much lighter fluid. My fires in the barbecue get a little bit wild, so I really do not need to be doing that. And have the flames blow out of the barbecue pit onto my clothing and have barbecue crisps would not be a pretty sight. So I'm excited about the spring. Baseball's kicking up. I'm a big baseball fan. I know March Madness is probably underway. I don't follow that much. I'm not a big basketball fan, but if you are, that's cool. That's not me. And getting excited. First games of the baseball season are going to be in Japan. Dodgers, I believe, versus the Cubs in Tokyo. And I'm looking forward to getting up at 5 a.m. to watch those games on the 18th and 19th. The regular season, the full season kicks up later on. So I'm excited about that. So, how has everyone's month been going? I'm going to go and check the chat here. Okay, I know. Um, uh, Okay, let's see. I have officially I have difficulty answering questions about how I'm doing or how my day is going. The answer takes a while. That's okay. This is not a competition. It's not a game show. You don't have to get your answer in quickly. No problem. And let's see. And there's one I have to review here. It's the filters that are on on YouTube. Keep things safe. But you might be an autistic if every can in your pantry has the label facing forward. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna do show. Okay, so that should be showing now. And let's see. Got get smoke flavored fluid. Oh yes, love that idea, the smoke flavored fluid. That is great. And yeah, that's true about you have all the cans labels facing forward. Uh, I uh, I and my wife it's kind of weird. We have the TV trays between our chairs, and they have to be in a precise order. Although they look the same, I got to have my tray right next to me, followed by a backup tray, and her tray's on her side. So we had a guest come over, and so we used three of the trays, and he wanted to put his back. Well, I was done eating, so I put mine back in a slot. So I had to take mine out so he could put his back in. Yes, you got to have things lined up and organized. Yeah, I get that. I do the same. You can't see it on the camera. I'm not even going to try to. I have buses lined up in a row here on my desk. And I got, oh, I love this one. I love my bus collection. I got me a little blue. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera here because I have things blurred. I think I could probably turn off blur. Anyway, I have it's going to be hard to see in the camera. I'm looking. Anyway, it's a Kia Soul, a little toy Kia Soul. The doors actually open, and I have this here on my desk. I love the Kia Soul. I don't have a Kia Soul in real life, but I love the Kia Soul because those cute little hamsters in those commercials. Gotta love those guys. Anyway, I have that on my desk sitting in order. I have a little calendar over here. That's a numeric calendar. Let me see if I can pick this up. Not dropping anything. I love these. I've always been fascinated with dates and times. And let me see if I can fix the blur here, okay? Because we don't need a blur tonight. Let me see. Do that. And then do camera. And then blur background. There we go. Here we are. Yeah, I have one of these. I love these. I've always been fascinated since nursery school, preschool. And where did I go? There I am. Uh, where we had this calendar on the wall. It was a page a day calendar. And each morning at the beginning of nursery school, the teacher would tear off the day and we'd learn what the new day of the week was, the number, the month. It was so cool. I've always been fascinated by how organized that is. It's a exciting thing to me. I just love this. I like organization. And I love my wife dearly. I thrive better in organization. She surprisingly, I don't get it, but I love her anyway. She thrives in clutter. It's like, I don't know, odd couple maybe. I don't know, but it works for us. Our relationship does work pretty well for us. So let me go and grab this file over here. Let's see, 15 seconds. You might be on the spectrum. Is it? There we are. Let's see. You always feel different. I'm going to go through these real quickly here. You always feel different. Let me try this. I could do this. Don't worry, it's behind the scenes stuff I'm doing right now, moving stuff around where I can see it. Okay. You always feel a little bit different. I've always felt that way in my life. Have you? You want to, if whatever you're comfortable sharing, share in the chat. Okay. That's fine with me. Your socializing is exhausting. Oh gosh, is it ever exhausting? As I mentioned in the video, if I know I'm going to socialize with someone, like we have a guest that comes over to our house once in a while, great friend of ours. Sometimes I take a couple of hours rest before he comes and a couple of hours after because socializing is very exhausting for me. In fact, I have another thing that, well, yeah, I'm not going to mention that. There's something else I do to prepare, but I don't want to go into that right now. Maybe later. Uh, you mask without realizing it. I think that's very common for most of us in the spectrum, that we have been masking for many, many years without even realizing it until we first start suspecting we're on the spectrum, or sometime between that and self-identifying on the spectrum. We realize we're masking because when we first start to suspect, many of us will see traits Maybe we have a family member, friend, whatever, who's on the spectrum, and we see similarities in some of their uniqueness in ourselves, and we thought, thinking, hey, maybe I'm on the spectrum. And then we start digging in and understanding autism more. This happened in my case. And we start to understand masking. My brain is on fried. It's over fried. And we all do that. And I'm reading an excellent book. I don't have the title in front of me. I got a pre-release copy. I don't know if it's released or not. And I'm trying to get through the book. It's a wonderful book about unmasking. And when I get it done, I'm going to have a review of it on my website, The Confident Autistic, and I'm going to have it. I may even do a video on here as well. So it's a really great book. I'm enjoying it so much. Let's see. You small talk feels forced and confusing. How many people? Let me check the chat first while you do this. Um, let's see. Ordered environment re relaxes my brain. Yes, an ordered environment and not a lot of clutter helps me focus. It truly helps me focus, and that's one of our projects we talked about in the on these live events before in some other videos. My wife and I have agreed we're going to make this office because right now you can't see it. I have the lights off. I like doing these in the dark where it's less distracting for you when we do the live streams at night. But this office has a lot of clutter off camera. Most of us off camera, some of us on camera. And our goal is to make this office my safe spot, my sensory friendly spot, declutter it and make it where I can retreat from everything else going on in the world. We're working on that. And I hope to get that started soon. I'm gonna share a little bit what's going on here. We've had a very unexpected medical crisis in a family member. It's not me, it's not my wife, so don't worry. I know I mentioned before she has stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. It is not her, it is my mom. She's up there in the years. She never watches these, so she'll never know I say that she's 86, but she is. And she has severe arthritis and having a very difficult time getting around. So my wife and I have been taking on more responsibilities around the house. We do a lot, but all three of us live together, and she's not able to do the few chores that she did for herself, for all of us actually. So we've been helping her a lot, and that's been exhausting. And I don't remember why I told you that, but so oh, I know why. Because I want to talk about the revamping of the office. We would like to get that started and do maybe behind the scenes video series on how we decluttered and made this a sensory friendly space. But right now, I was hoping to start that in March, but right now that's a little bit on the table until we get her to see some doctors. I spent Monday at the emergency room with my mom getting stuff started on that ball. So it's been a busy week and all. So before we get into the small talk, let me see what else just came in chat. We can lose our true our true selves in the mask. Yes, we certainly can. And I know I'm up there in the years. I was a child in the 70s. So let's just be real here. And when you mask unknowingly for so long in your life, it's hard to unmask and hard to and you sit there. I know I do this. I sit there and I wonder, who is the authentic Chris? Who is the authentic person here? And there's a process to unmasking. And like I mentioned, this great book I'm reading, I'm going to try to find the title, but this great book that I'm reading, and it talks about how to unmask, the steps you do, and you want to start out with doing it slowly. It's not an overnight process. In fact, I think some of us we will never complete it in our lifetime, and not because I'm being negative about us. It's just we have masked so long, it's become a part of who we are, and it's going to be very challenging to take that mask off. Let me see if I have this set up on this phone. I'm in the process of moving stuff around. Should be on this one. Um, nope. I know I have it around here somewhere. Okay, let me try this. I'm looking here. I'm trying to find the title of the books. Here we are. Here we go. Unmasking Adult Autism. It's a wonderful book. I did find it here on my phone. I have the PDF of it. So we will be, I'll be looking into that and working on a review of that. So for my website and for the channel. So don't worry about that. It will be coming. Let me get that going here. Okay, let's see. We can, and we did that. Okay, great. So let's talk about small talk feels forced and confusing. How do you feel about small talk? I personally hate it. I see no point to it. I think it's stupid. I mean, I've shared in the video and I shared in other spaces how frustrating it is for me, how confusing it is. I mean, people say, well, why don't you do small talk? By saying, like tomorrow's Friday, right? You go into work, you say, hey guys, are you happy? Did you know today's Friday? Aren't you happy about that? And I'm like, why am I telling people stuff they should already know? Don't, I don't get it. Small talk for me is very difficult and is challenging for me because when I'm involved in small talk with someone and they're talking to me, I don't know what they expect me to say. Because they tell me, yeah, hey, happy Friday. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's Friday. What am I supposed to say in response to that? And that causes me so much anxiety. I don't know what to say because most of the time I'm not that interested in small talk that people do with me. So, nor do I like long, because I mentioned in the video that many people who are autistic don't like small talk and they prefer deep, meaningful conversations. And but my wife, I'm okay with the deep, meaningful conversations. But for other people, I don't like them, and not because I don't like the idea. It just again, I don't know what people expect me to say in response to what they say to me, and nor do I know what to say that's going to be engaging to them on uh, in the conversation. How to keep the conversation going from my end. It's like mental exercise to me, or mental I don't know, karate or something extremely mentally challenging. I cannot think of a good analogy. You can think of a great one. Put it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. Let's see. Routine is your comfort zone. Oh, I love routine. And right now, I do not have anywhere near a routine because of all that's going in our home right now. But routine really does help me relax because then life becomes more predictable. It won't always be, you will never have life 100% predictable. Okay. None of us have a crystal ball. I have a needle ball, but I don't have a crystal ball. And what's going, so the routines help us. We know what's coming. And I really am trying hard to have a routine of getting up at the same time, doing the same type of activities each time of the day. But that's just so challenging right now. But I crave to have a routine because it will give me some predictability in my life. And I believe it will, and I believe it has in the past, helps decrease my anxiety and my uh, irritability. So, do you crave routines? What do you like about them? Do you have one? Whatever you're comfortable sharing with, please share in the chat. Let's see. Vance has been and I appreciate all your support and contribution to the chat. As I do everyone's. Uh, he said it is baffling. I understand that small talk is a superficial way for neurotypicals to assess another person, social status, if their social status a threat. Let's see. For social status a threat. Yeah. I understand it's important I agree. I understand it's important for neurotypical people. They love that small talk. They love eye contact, which we're going to talk about in a moment. I don't like either. Okay. I mentioned in the video, and this is a true thing here. I got a t-shirt. I think my wife bought it for me. Anyway, it says, you read my shirt. That's enough social interaction for one day. I thought this is going to be great. I can wear it out in public and people will not start talking to me randomly because I hate it when a total stranger walks up to me who I don't even know and wants to small talk. Oh my gosh, I am horrible with that on my personal time. Now, when I did public events, I've written a couple of books that I would go to book fairs and that kind of thing, and people walk up to me and talk to me. I can handle that because working in radio, I could do that in my professional life. My personal life, on my own time, I am not good at that. So my wife got me this T-shirt. You read my shirt. That's enough social interaction for the day. And I thought this would be great. I can wear this, and nobody will bother me. I had three people the first time I wore it. Three people walk up to me and say, I love your shirt. Where did you get that shirt? And surprisingly, they were all guys who said that. And some of them, the wife, girlfriend, there was a female with them. It's like, this shirt did not do what I wanted it to do. But that's my own personal problem. Let's see, you have sensory sensitivities. Now, as I mentioned in the video, that goes both ways. Because often when we think of sensory sensitivities, we think of things like I get over stimulated or anxious. And like in my case, I'm sensitive to noise. A lot of conversations going on around me kind of gets me to shut down a little bit. And, maybe some people are sensitive to light. I'm one of them. This light that I have on right now, so you can see me, is driving me up a wall. That's why you see me wear a hat all the time. But sensory sensitivities, and it can be the smell, texture, whatever, can also go where you are sensory seeking. There are some people who crave loud noises and loud music. And if you're one of them, more power to you. But I can't do that. Okay, let me be real here. I don't like loud crowds and noise. But I have been known, because I do it for comfort, and I did not realize I was doing this all my life, but I have. I have had Walkmans back in the day that were really cool, and I had the headphones with the cord. Now I do it wirelessly. And back when they came out, there was no warning that you were going to hurt your ears. So I cranked the music up because I love the music of the 80s. And today, I'm paying for that a little bit. Just a little. I'm paying for it. So, yeah, so sensory sensitivities can go both ways. So I'm going to pause for a moment, take a peek at the chat. Created a professional personality to do your job well. Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's like I have personal a personal life and a professional life, and I'm really great at separating the two. Yes, great observation, Vance. When I was dating my wife, dating Kim before she and I got married. I worked at the college and she worked at the college. We both worked in different computer labs. And she got off work early, or she got off scheduled early, but she gets off earlier than I did. And she came over to meet me, pick me up, and we would go spend the afternoon together, or evening together before we went to our respective homes. Anyway, I would come out of the lab. I'm closing the door. She asked me, "So, how was your day today?" Fine. And not because I was trying to be monotone. I do not talk about my work and my personal life. Okay, I just don't. And it's like this two me's, like and this probably comes from me working in radio, the on-air personality and the private personal me personality, who's a little bit quieter, a little bit, people say I'm grouchier and blunt, and a little bit more, well, I want to say a little. I'm very reclusive in my personal life. I truly am. And I kind of like being alone more than being around a lot of people. That's just me. Let's see, you struggle with eye contact. We talked about that earlier. But the thing is, I know neurotypicals like it. I don't. I kind of look in the general directions to kind of, well, this is probably the first time I use this kind of language here, but half-ass fake it that I'm making eye contact with them. But that is what I do, but it makes me uncomfortable. And when somebody's making eye contact with me, this happened with me and my wife. We were at Lens Crafters. They're not paying me to say that. Lens Crafters at the mall for some reason. And we were talking to the, not, I don't think he's an optometrist, but the person that, get the glasses and fulfill the prescription. Maybe eye pharmacist. I have no idea what they're called. Anyway, and she was constantly making eye contact with me, and it was driving me up a wall. And I was like looking away and all this stuff. And finally, we told her I don't like eye contact because I'm autistic. And then it was a great opportunity for me to share with her, with the help of my wife, what autism is and educate someone on it. It worked out really well that way. But I don't like eye contact. Now, while I was preparing for this video, I found a really interesting fact that for some of us in the spectrum, and I know this happens to me, when we are forced or engaged in eye contact, some of us will not fully, what's the best word? Comprehend? I don't know, that's too rough. But we're so focused in on the eye contact and maintaining it that we're not going to remember every detail of that conversation. We're going to remember less and less of it because we spend so much time focusing in on eye contact. Am I making eye contact? Am I doing it right? Um, am I doing it the way that the Allistics do it so I can fit in and blend in? And because we focus in so much on that to maintain that eye contact, which many believe that's expected in the allistic community, at least here in the United States, that we are so tuned on doing that right, we're not paying attention or fully paying attention to the conversation. So, what are your experiences with eye contact? Feel free to share them here as well. And another sign that you might be a autistic adult is if you have a unique way of communicating. And that can be that you might be blunt. And I can admit it, I am. I can be considered blunt. When I first started working in radio, when I was like 18, 19 years old, I had several callers call in and ask me, am I British? Which I thought, I don't have an accent. But it turned out they were asking if I was British because of how blunt I can be at times. So I can be blunt. Uh, Struggle with sarcasm. Now, I struggle with sarcasm in real life, but not when it's on TVs or movies or morning radio. I'm not bad at that. I get it. But in real life, most sarcasm goes right over my head. And that's weird. And then, like, people, when you're going to be sarcastic around me in real life, add the word bazinga to it. It will really help me. Now, the ironic thing is, I am very sarcastic. I have a t-shirt that I like to wear that says sarcasm, just one of my many talents. And let's see, the other thing about unique way of communicating, uh, and you take things literally. I know that I do. We've had other people participating in live streams that have mentioned that they take things literally. I do that all the time. And instead of me getting really irritated about that, I know that's a challenge for me. When somebody says something to me and I'm not sure how they mean it, I will tell them what it means to me. And then, if that's right, fine. If not, they correct it. And then we kind of laugh about it and they say, oh, yeah, I can see how you took it that way. So that works for me. Do you have trouble with taking things literally? I know it's one of the challenges I have in my life. Let's see, eye contact makes my skin crawl. It can overstimulate the emotions and the emotional area of the brain. Yes, it's very interesting. I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, eye contact can do that. Or I think any sensory related issue that we have can have that kind of effect on us. The other day, and I think I mentioned it in the video, my wife and I, maybe it was a video I did. Yeah, it was in one of these videos because it happened yesterday. I taped these last night. Uh, my wife and I were going to go and get the mail. We went outside to get the mail. And where I live is in Southwest Missouri. And we're entering our tornado season. The peak of that is in May most years. So we had our monthly test of the tornado siren. And our tornado siren is right, I mean, literally across the street from our house. And that thing is loud. Now, during a storm, it's not as loud because all the wind, it kind of distorts the sound. But when there's no wind, and for me, excuse me, for me, when that siren went off, that siren went off, uh, that siren went off, the it was physically painful for me to have to hear that sound. This is physically painful. I'm sorry, a little box came up on my screen that distracted me for a moment. My apologies. But because it's preparing live streaming, I thought, well, live streaming. What do you mean it's preparing? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we're live streaming. That's all that matters, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, those kind of things can happen. Anything that's a sensory issue for us can cause, physical or emotional pain or distress, and that's okay. You rehearse conversations or script. I know I do this a lot, especially when I have to make a phone call. I No one in this house likes making phone calls, okay? And no one does, okay? So usually I'm the one that gets to make the phone calls and all. And when I'm calling someone I've not spoken to before, I kind of do script things out. So I know what I'm going to say and what I want to cover and what what I think the best strategy to use when I'm doing this, when I'm on the phone, to get the results that I want. And yeah, I do that. And I rehearse conversations in my mind, and I plan scripts. And then afterwards, in the evening, when I try to go to bed, well, I do go to bed. When I try to go to sleep, I'm processing my day, and I will go over that conversation in my mind, and I call it debriefing, because I look at it and say, okay, what did I say? How did they respond? What can I learn from this experience that next time I'm in a similar conversation, I can do a better job at um, interacting with the person to get the results that I want. So, do you rehearse conversations or script? If you do, you may be an autistic adult, and if you want to share those experiences in the chat, feel free to. Let's see, you experience meltdowns or shutdowns. Okay, I think this is probably pretty common in the autism community. Yeah, I often have meltdowns. In fact, there are family members who could see it coming on. And I mean young family members. When I lived in California, my nephew at the time was, let's see, this was like, he was like 11, 11 years old, maybe 12. And I was at this event, um, and all and that I had to be at and had to fill out some paperwork. I hate paper. Oh gosh, I hate paper. You may have heard me talk about that before. You give me more than three pieces of paper, I literally throw it around. I really do. I cannot handle paper. And my wife was with me, and I need to be at the meeting by myself. My wife was going to take my nephew back to our apartment or wherever, and my nephew looked at my wife and said, "Aunt Kimberly, we need to go now." And Kimberly and my wife said, "No, we can wait a few more minutes." And my nephew at 11 years old, "No, Aunt Kimberly, Uncle's about to have a meltdown." So I am prone to meltdowns, especially when I get overwhelmed or uh, overstimulated, whatever. Also, shutdowns. I occasionally have those. For me, shutdowns happen more frequently in a noisy environment. That the noise gets to me so much that I feel disoriented. So I will shut down. And it's not just noisy. And when I go into a store and there's so many lights and products around me, that's overstimulating to me as well. And I will also go into a shutdown. So while I'm looking at the chat here to see what came in new, do you ever experience shutdowns or meltdowns? And if you feel comfortable, share those with, well, not the meltdown, but what triggers those that you've noticed in your life? What patterns? Let's see. Debriefing is a good description of the daily review. Yeah. Well, thank you. I thought it was a great description myself. So, hey, I'm on the right track. Hey, high five, right? Yeah, high five. Got it. I nailed it, didn't I? Yeah, super. Let's see. The next one that we talked about in that video was you are either super organized or struggle with executive functioning. I'm kind of in between there. High five. I'm kind of in between there, and I prefer to be super organized. In fact, I go into what some people will call analysis paralysis and planning, and all these great plans. I keep planning, but sometimes it takes me a while to actually execute these plans because I want these plans and everything to be just perfect. So, yeah, I struggle with wanting to be super organized. And that's the big thing to me. I like organization. I like knowing where things are. A saying that I have around the house: if we put things back where they belong, we can find them when we need them. And I really believe in that. I love organization. I love organizing things. I'm going to geek out here for a moment. When I was a kid, I had a weird hobby. I collected TV guides. Okay, the big TV, nothing gets you into it like TV guide, that thing. Little TV guides that came out in the 70s. I would collect them. Okay. And they had to be in date order. Okay. So I collected them, and I had these large collections, and then I thought, this is weird. I mean, what kid collects TV guys? So I threw them out, and then I regretted that, and I started my collection all over again. But that's another story for another time. So they had to be in a particular order. My CDs, they had to be in order by artist and then by title. Videotapes that I had, every movie, I still do this for DVDs, have to be in alphabetical order. Let me try it that way. It's an easier word to say. So everything has to be organized for me. Everything. And when there's clutter and stuff that's not organized, oh, it makes my skin crawl and I want to scream. It makes me irritable. So anyway, I don't know if you're like that or not, but that's how I am. I love organization. I love organizing stuff. I love organizing stuff in a way that there's a pattern to it and there's a logic to it. That's that's just me. Anyway, let's see. Social norms don't always make sense. Yeah, I don't get all these social norms. Let's see. You wonder why people follow unwritten rules. Well, I have a theory of why people follow unwritten rules because no one gave us who are autistic the rule book. We never got it. Somehow it got lost in the mail. I don't know what happened to it, but it's lost. It's gone. Let's see why people follow some rules, like pretending to be interested in small talk or avoiding certain topics. Okay, I small talk. I mentioned this before. I don't get it, and most of the time I'm faking my way through it, and uh, I want to get the thing over with, and I'm trying really hard not to say to someone my instant response. Somebody's talking to me and telling me about the weather in in um in another state, and not because I don't like the other state. It's like, why are you telling me this? And I've actually said this time. What gave you the remote idea that I would be anywhere remotely interested by what you're talking to me about right now? Why would I care? And apparently that's inappropriate to say to people. I don't get it. I'm being truthful and honest, but it's like you don't want me to be that truthful. It makes no sense to me. And you feel relieved when learning about autism. Now, this is the big one. I think a lot of us on the spectrum can relate to this, especially when we're going through that time in life where we suspect we're on the spectrum and self identifying and possibly pursuing a late diagnosis, which we're going to talk about next in a moment, um, about late diagnosis. That when I started suspecting I was on the autism spectrum, and I'd like to know if you did the same, if you went through suspecting that you're on the autism spectrum before you started self-identifying or received a late diagnosis. I wanted to watch every single video I could find on YouTube about autism. I wanted to read every single book I could on autism. And I craved it. I loved it. I still love reading about autism. I love reading about self-confidence too. But that is so me. And I get that. And when I put this list together and I did the research on this one, I went, this is definitely a sign, at least in my opinion, that you may be in the spectrum. Now, obviously, there's some people who crave reading and feel, well, this does say you feel relieved. because that would be belief. But there are some people who crave reading about autism because they have a family member about autism. They want to understand it better. We have people who are autistics who are um, supporters who want to learn more and engage and understand autism better. And that's wonderful that we have people doing that. Now, the other video I did that I released today was about late diagnosis and self-diagnosis of autism and why it matters and how it changes everything. And I want to focus in on how it changes everything. I know I talked a little bit about that on the video, but I do want to touch upon that for a few minutes, and then we'll do open Q&A. It made a big difference to me because it gave me all through my life. Let me start here. All through my life, I have been opposed to people self-diagnosing themselves. We're not doctors, okay? But when I started to explore autism, suspecting I was autistic, I learned very quickly within the autism community it's okay and accepted to self identify as autistic. And many people do that, and that's fine. I'm fine with that, okay? Because to me, self identifying is different than self diagnosing. Because I don't want to encourage people to go down the road and say, well, you know what? I think I diagnosed myself and I just have a backache. I don't need to see a doctor. And it turns out it was cancer and you misdiagnosed yourself. I don't want to do that. But self identifying, I'm identifying as autistic, and that's fine. Now, I wanted to go further and I wanted to have confirmation of my suspicions by going through some screening because I knew I was very, and I still am, very passionate about autism and wanting to help people like you and me discover, develop, and grow our self confidence as autistic adults. Because when we realize we're on the spectrum, whether it be suspecting it, self identifying, or late diagnosis, it is a change in our life. It is a total flip of who we are and how we view the world. Okay. And in fact, many people, and I think I said this in the video, see that diagnosis as the missing puzzle piece that helps life make sense to them. I know it did for me. And I know in our community, there's a lot of different opinions on the different symbols of autism. And I believe I did a video on this. But one that a lot of people have about the symbols is the puzzle piece. And I won't go into all of it. I don't want to tear anyone down. Some say it has a negative connotation because of the organizations that it's been associated with that have talked about wanting to find a cure for autism, which is a very controversial topic, which I get, and we're not going to get into that right now. But when I think it was sometime in my self-identifying phase to when I received my late diagnosis, I when that was going on, it was the puzzle piece made sense to me. And I know a lot of people see that puzzle pieces, autism is a puzzle, what puzzle we have to figure out. To me, that puzzle piece meant this is the missing piece that now made my life make sense to me. And this is one of the reasons I um I went for the diagnosis and how it did change everything for me. And the reason I went for the diagnosis, I know I started talking about that and I kind of went off topic here. So let me circle back to that. I knew from everything I was watching and learning about autism, I was so excited because we talked about that a moment ago. I wanted to do this YouTube channel. I wanted to make a difference in our community. I wanted to share my experiences and help other people who are going through what I'm going through at this particular stage of life, middle aged, because that's where I am in life. And because it like your entire world has a new identity, but to do that and to sit here and actually look at you and say on camera, because one thing that's important to me is integrity and being honest with people, as honest as I can. I Integrity is one of the biggest things in my life. If I don't trust someone, I don't let them be in my life, and I do not lie to people. I'm straight up with people as much as I can. In fact, sometimes too honest because I'm blunt. Don't ask me how I feel about you unless you really want to know, because I will tell you and without a filter. But I wanted to be able to look into the camera and say to you, I am an autistic adult, late diagnosed, knowing that that just not me saying that I have documentation of that, because I want to be that authentic. Now, if you are not late diagnosed and you are saying that you're autistic yourself, no judgment here, that's fine. But because I'm running this channel, I want to have, for want of a better word, that credential behind me to say that when I'm talking about being autistic, I went through a screening. My suspicions were confirmed. I am speaking from a point of maybe not expertise, but personal experience and all, because I wanted to be real and honest with you. And that late diagnosis does change everything in your life. You will start, if you haven't already. Some people, I started when I was suspecting I was autistic. Some will start when they self-identify as autistic. Some when they are late diagnosed as autistic. Doesn't matter. You start looking back at your life and everything that happened that confused you, or all the things that you've done that it doesn't make sense to you. It starts making sense to you. It is. I mean, I started doing research and looking into things like, one of the things I do is talking to myself. Okay, that's why I do videos, so it does not look so weird that I talk to myself. No, I don't mind. I have a sign on my door that says that you hear me talking to myself, don't worry, I'm just having a team meeting because I work from home. But I started looking into that, and I found out that is a form of stimming. Once you get a diagnosis or get to that point in your life that you self-identify as autistic or suspecting, you've done some research, it can start, and it will start making sense to you. Your life will. Why I had trouble with certain friendships, why I had trouble in school, it made sense to me. I got into a lot of trouble because of behavior issues. And it appears to me, I'm not a doctor, but it appears to me from my understanding of autism and the reading and the videos and the research I do on it on a daily basis, I got in trouble at school and acted out in class, probably because I did better in smaller classrooms. Like when I was in a special education class with only 8 kids, I did really well. You put me in a classroom with 30, that was too much for me. And that probably triggered me acting out and got into trouble. So a late diagnosis or self-identifying as autistic, it you it's a changing thing. You will start looking back at your life and looking forward and understanding yourself better and realizing you're not an alien. Other people have similar experiences. This is a good thing. Now, in the video that we did about this, about late diagnosis, why it matters, and how it changes everything, I did not discuss the pros and cons of of um, of getting a late diagnosis of autism. And I did that for a reason. Uh, there will be a video coming up Monday. In fact, I'm going to shoot it later tonight. That's going to talk about the pros and cons of getting a late diagnosis of autism. And you could probably find some of this information on the internet, but watch my video because it's going to be really cool. And now that I said that, I got to make sure when I make the video it's really cool. But regardless of that, we're going to dive into the pros and cons and kind of help you decide, do you want a late diagnosis? What can happen when you get one versus not getting one? It's going to be a great video that's going to be going live Monday at 3 p.m. Central Time, that when it will be premiering. But yeah, it will. If you go that far for late diagnosis or even start self-identifying, you may have reevaluate your self-perception. You may start reevaluating friendships and relationships that you have. You may redefine your life goals and future aspirations. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but now knowing that you are on the spectrum, you may be able to say, okay, I understand that I'm probably not going to be a concert goer the rest of my life because the noise of the concert is too much for me. Okay. I know I use that analogy a lot, but it's one that I can connect to. It could be anything. But you decide that's not for me. I'm not going to be up on stage singing in front of a loud screaming crowd because that's just too much sensory input for me. Then you will say, okay, now I know why. I've tried this. I tried it, and I'm not a failure. I know what's causing this. It's part of my autism. It's okay, and you can come up with a new goal and new plans that you can achieve, and that will coincide or work well with your autism and the challenges autism presents in your life. And in the video, we also talk about some of the challenges of late diagnosis and how to navigate them. And so it was a really great video. I hope you check it out. Links to the videos that we talked about tonight are in this video's description. Now we're going to open this up for any questions you have in the remaining time that we have, the last 10 minutes. Let's see. Your integrity is why I'm watching. Mostly lurk. Sorry, I don't care if you lurk. That's fine. Lurk if you want. Stalking's another problem, but we won't go into the stalking right now. But lurking is fine, and I appreciate that because integrity is very, 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 very. How many varies can I say? Very, 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 very important to me. Is that a core foundation of who I am, and I don't like people in my life. I'm very reclusive and I don't have a lot of friends, and that's by, well, partially my autism, partially by my own choice. I don't want people in my life unless they are someone who I feel are people of integrity, and that is extremely important to me. So, if you have any questions now about what we talked about or anything adult autism related, go ahead and stick them in there. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for anything to pop up, something has popped up. I'm going to ask a question or two, and if you want to respond, that's fine. If not, you can ignore me. Just don't tune away. Because this month, our theme is your autistic journey. And this entire month, we're going through different videos, and these live streams will be relevant to you going through your journey of suspecting you're autistic all the way to accepting that you're autistic. And we're doing this month to prepare for next month, which April is Autism Acceptance Month. It used to be called Autism Awareness Month, but it's now called Autism Acceptance Month because many people in our community feel others are aware of autism. Now we get to get people to accept autism and work with people who are autistic and welcome us into their world, and we welcome them to world, become all in one world together. It's true. We're on this planet together. We all need to learn how to get along. And I know, and I stay away from politics, but I know there's been what some would say been an attack on some steps that have been taken to make this more an inclusive world, at least here in the United States, with all the things that are going on. You see in the news about DEI and a lot of companies abandoning it. I'm not going to get into, like I said, politics, but this is why autism awareness, actually Autism Acceptance Month, is so important, especially this year for many of us on the spectrum. So while I'm going to go and read what came in the chat, I am going to ask a question here. Just I didn't put together a poll. I wish I had, but daylight savings time starts on Sunday. Do you like daylight savings time, or do you rather we stop springing forward, falling ahead at the end of the year? Do you like? I mean, twice a year. If you like it, why don't we just do this? Do a thumbs up or hearts if you like daylight savings time, and us time hopping twice a year here in the United States. No stalking. Okay, great. Yeah, no stalking. There's probably laws about that. Yeah, but I'm glad that you do appreciate these streams. We've been doing these every Thursday night since the first Thursday in November last year. I've enjoyed doing them, and I plan to continue to do these for the foreseeable future. They're every Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. And so you're welcome to come in and join us any week on that. What was the first symptom you noticed that made you suspect you are on the spectrum? All right, great question. Let me explain that to you. It kind of like the typical story here. I've seen a lot of people have this similar experience. Mm, and I'm going to explain what this means here. I have a great nephew. Not everyone has a great nephew, but in my case, I had a family member. A lot of people who discover they're on the spectrum have a family member. Mine is a great nephew, and he was coming to our house. His mom drives a school bus, so while she was driving the school bus, he was like 3, 4 years old. He can't be on the bus, um, so he would come down to our house, and we knew he was on the spectrum. So when he was here to help myself, my wife, and my mom, we all share a house together, help communicate with him and help him. I did a lot of research on autism and I observed his behaviors and how he reacted. And I started to see some of his behaviors and I went, wait a minute. I acted that same way when I was a child. I still behave that way today as an adult. Okay, that's a little embarrassing, but it is the truth. So that is what kind of led to it. And I don't know exactly the first thing that got to me, or really that he did that made me suspect I was on the spectrum. But I know it had to do with getting over or anxious about being around a lot of people. When I was a kid, I grew up in St. Louis. Now I'm living in Southwest Missouri. My dad had I had an uncle who lived there, so we would come here to Joplin, which is where I'm near, and we would visit him. And every time we would gonna come to Joplin, I got in a lot of trouble when I knew it was coming and while I was here because I was away from my house and I was away from my routine, my toys, and all the stuff I like, which turns out to be, stuff I use to self regulate. And then we would randomly go from one relative's house to another because we had an uncle here, I had some cousins here, we had some other family here. We would bebop around all these families' houses and all with no structure, a lot of people hanging around, a lot of adults making a loud noise, a lot of kids I had to interact with. I did not know all that well, and it was just like a wild circus, and it was too much stimulation for me. And as I look back upon that, I realized I got in trouble more when we traveled that way or when we had company come to our house as a child because that was too much stimulation for me, too much activity. And that I think was the first thing that really connected with me that I may be on the spectrum, and that started my journey. That is a wonderful question. I'm glad you asked it because nobody's asked me that before. I've shared a little bit that it did start with my great nephew being on the spectrum, but I never really answered the question, what was the first sign that I saw? And realizing that as a child and as an adult, I still get very anxious when I don't like going to parties because that causes me a lot of anxiety. I'm very uncomfortable. Even as an adult, I don't it's some when nobody does. But maybe that's a message to me. Nobody likes me. I don't know. Anyway, I don't get invited to somebody's house and hey, we're gonna have a great big old barbecue party and have 20 people over and all. I don't. I'm glad nobody does because that's too much for me. When my wife was working, at times she had company picnics, and I went with her because I'm a good, loving wife, spouse to my wife, and I love free food, especially barbecue. And I would go, but I stuck close to her, and I did not interact a lot because I was very uncomfortable. And this that I guess is probably the first connection I made that I may be on the spectrum because I realized my nephew was that way, and I realized the reading I was doing about autism, so we can learn to communicate with him and support him. Um, Indicated that to me. And then I started doing more and more reading. And then I discovered more and more I'm on the spectrum, and I started getting to the point I was comfortable to self-identify. But as I said a few moments ago, I want to take that to the next notch. I wanted to get confirmation. So when I go on these videos, I can authentically say to you that I am a autistic adult late diagnosed. But if you're not, hey, there's no judgment here because I know there's barriers to getting it, some pros and cons, which is going to be talked about in my video that will be coming out Monday. I see we have another comment in the chat, so let me take a look at that. Thanks for answering. You are very welcome. That's why I'm here to do these live chats to answer anyone's questions. Now we have a few minutes to the top of the hour. So, a last call for questions. We used to say, don't forget to set your clocks ahead of an hour. Most everything is now electronic. Your cell phone will automatically update. Your Amazon device, the clock on it will automatically update. Your Google device, it will automatically update. Your computer will automatically update. Most everything, you're not just at clocks anymore, okay? But, a good thing to still do this weekend is to check your smoke detector batteries. Okay, they recommend it's a great time to do it when we spring forward and fall back. So make sure you check the smoke detector batteries and all, and get ready for the time change. We'll still be meeting at 7 p.m. Central Time, Central Daylight Time next Thursday night. So calculate that accordingly. Probably be the same time it is this week we met. Excuse me. Unless you live in Arizona, then it will be an hour later. No, it would be an hour earlier. That's right. It's an hour earlier. Arizona does not hop, so that would be instead of 6 p.m. in Arizona, it'd be 5 p.m. in Arizona. And Hawaii does not hop either, and I don't think Alaska does either. And other parts of the world, you use your own clocks. There's a site, I believe it's called timeanddate.com, where you can do a time zone conversion thing. So, or just ask your device, what time is it in Chicago, Illinois, which is part of the Central Time Zone. Anyway, I'm rambling. I know I am. So thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. We'll be back next Thursday night, next week's videos. Let me see if I can pull that up. Give me a moment here. Next week's videos that are scheduled to be released, unless something comes up. Let's see. Next Monday is going to be late autism diagnosis. Is it worth it? Pros and cons explained. That's gonna be a great video. So look forward to that. That would be premiering live 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time next Monday. And then on March 13th, um, we are doing a video tentatively titled Self Discovery After Diagnosis. Now what? So we're going to be going beyond the point of our late diagnosis and start diving into the self discovery we go through. Now that doesn't only happen after late diagnosis. That can happen when you start self-identifying, or you are in the I suspect I'm in the autism phase of your journey. So those are great videos that are coming next week, next Monday and Thursday. I hope you'll check them out. If you haven't already, I should have done this earlier, but I'm going to do it now. Please subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, do not forget to ring the bell to be notified when the videos are premiering and when I go live for the weekly live streams we do Thursday night. And if you found this video live stream helpful, entertaining, or you just want to brag about it, please like the video. That tells the YouTube algorithm that I'm doing something good that other people would like to know about, and that helps us grow the channel. When I came on tonight, we were at 230 subscribers, and I'd like to see that number grow. We can make this a valuable resource for people in our community. Yeah, great, Vance. You're looking forward to the next videos. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them too. I got them all mapped out, lined out, and all, and the outline's done. I just got to shoot them, and I'm going to shoot. I'm planning to shoot one either tonight or tomorrow, and have that scheduled. And the other one coming up next Thursday, they will be coming up. So it's going to be a great time. So again, if you like this video, please like it. And if you're watching this in the archives when it's not live, please subscribe to the channel, click on that notification bell to be notified when new videos go live, and and when I go live with the live stream, so you don't miss the next one, because we're going to be talking about those 2 new videos that I'm putting up next week. So get ready, check those out. You know, I know it sounds a little bit like school. Watch those videos, and then we're going to come here and discuss them. So you got homework, okay? You can look at it that way. I don't care. But yeah, it's been great chatting with you all tonight. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're doing, whatever your plans are. I hope they're fun. I hope they're entertaining, and I hope they also include checking your smoke detectors batteries because we are not channel hopping. We are time zone flipping. That's what we're doing. Yeah. So thank you again for joining tonight. Have a wonderful week and looking forward to chatting with you next Thursday night. And until next time, until we meet again, I'm the Confident Autistic, aka Chris Mitchell, reminding you that I am always here to help you live confidently autistic. See you next week.